Matt Smith from ACC Kickoff here in Charlotte, and we just heard from Dabo Swinney, and we also had a breakout session with quarterback Cade Klubnik. Now, much of Dabo Swinney's time at the podium was dedicated to Cade Klubnik, and not just Cade Klubnik specifically, but having Cade Klubnik and Garrett Riley back in the fold together for a second season. And in this era of the transfer portal, you don't always get that, a returning quarterback and an offensive coordinator back together again in year two. And that's going to be a factor. Now, Coach Swinney also spent a great deal of his time talking about the potential of roster sizes changing, and an unintended consequence of a recent lawsuit, which is essentially that walk-ons would be eliminated and the roster sizes would be capped at 105. Now, that's all TBD, and that's what Coach Swinney said, that he's not talking about this specifically, but if it went that way, he actually dedicated a chunk of his time at the podium to that. He is not in favor. He wants to keep the walk-ons as he has them. Anyway, there's a lot to that, and you can hear that in his full comments at sportstalksc.com. But as far as what Cade Klubnik had to say, I actually think that was more interesting in the breakout section. Cade Klubnik talking about working with Garrett Riley in year two. And what I might liken it to is when you get to watch one of your favorite movies in a second time, you pick things up you didn't see the first time because you're following the plot the first time, and now you get the nuances of it. And Cade Klubnik said something very similar, that last year in terms of preparing, he said there were things he could not eliminate pre-snap that now he can because he understands the offense so much better entering year two with Garrett Riley. I'll have to tell you, Cade Klubnik, fresh off his time at the Manning camp, sounded like somebody that's very confident in his role at Clemson. He's firmly entrenched as QB1. He knows what it's expected of him. He talked a great deal about eliminating the mistakes, how he plans to do that. So Cade Klubnik, frankly, impressive today. He looked the part of someone that's going to compete to be an off-conference quarterback. Now, his numbers from last season would suggest otherwise, but as Dabo Swinney told us last week in his media availability, oftentimes that happens to a quarterback in their first go-round the ACC. You have to wait to see how they develop in year number two. Give them another off season to work with the playbook, to work with the receivers. And speaking of receivers, Dabo Swinney told us last week just how impressed he was with Antonio Williams, who's fresher and healthier than ever. Cade Klubnik just told us Antonio Williams is the fastest he has ever seen him. Says there is no comparison to Antonio Williams now running a slot, crossing across the formation in terms of his foot speed than there was either at any time last year or even 2 seasons ago. So Cade Klubnik very excited about working with his core of receivers. And at the top of that list is Antonio Williams. We won't forget about Adam Randall, Tyler Brown, and others. And, of course, Cade Klubnik also discussed what kind of chemistry he's got with Jake Briningstool, the security blanket there for Clemson. So, and also R.J. Mickens and Phil Maffa were here as well. But most importantly, I think today the takeaway was the comfort level of Cade Klubnik, and Dabo Swinney almost saying it very knowingly. Look, guys, this is Garrett Riley and Cade Klubnik together again in year number 2. So Clemson fans have a lot of reasons to be excited about this offense and the steps and strides it may take in 2024. That's it from here in Charlotte. We'll be discussing this at length. We'll be talking about what I just discussed. We'll pull that apart a little bit more tonight on Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen on the Sports Talk Media Network at 6:05 this evening.